3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Life Design Podcast, and today we're going to discuss something that everyone has to deal with in their life. It's called failure. Let's face it, we all make mistakes. Most of us know that failure is reality of life, and at some level we understand that it actually helps us grow in the future. Failure is necessary to make progress. We even acknowledge that the greatest achievers, past and present, think about Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, also routinely experienced colossal failures. And with these failures, they built and got stronger out of them. However, the feeling of failure is not very pleasant. We fear it, we dread it, and when it does happen, we hold on to it. We give it the power over our emotions. We allow it to ruin our day or even our week, and we allow it to make pleasant memories feel like a bad memory. So I thought it would be interesting to see why is it so hard to let go, forgive ourselves and move on from a failure. Why do we keep letting a failure influence us every day? And how can we keep failure or the fear of it from derailing us in our plans for the future and during our task? So I stumbled upon an article at the Forbes website, and they give 5 strategies to help you deal and cope with failure. The first strategy that they name is don't make it personal. This strategy actually precedes the conversation that we had in the past episode. They talk about separate the failure from your identity, which was discussed in the last episode, which you can check. Just because you haven't found a successful way of doing something doesn't mean you are a failure. These are completely separate thoughts, yet many of us blur the lines between them. Personalizing failure can wreak havoc, and our self-esteem and confidence can be compromised. In history, there are some excellent examples of actually people that did separate the failure from your identity. There's a man who failed in business at age 21, was defeated in a legislative race at age 22, failed again in business at 24, overcome the death of his fiancée at 26, had a nervous breakdown at 27, lost a congressional race at 34, lost a senatorial race at age 45, failed to become vice president at age 46, lost a senatorial race at age 49, and was elected as a president of the United States at age 52. This man was Abraham Lincoln. He refused to let his failures define him and fought against significant odds to achieve greatness, and is now arguably one of the best presidents that ever lived. Lincoln achieved great things while he was in office. Lincoln led the nation through an American Civil War, its bloodiest war and its greatest moral, constitutional and political crisis. He preserved the Union, abolished slavery, strengthened the federal government and modernized the US economy. Born in Kentucky, Lincoln grew up on the frontier of a poor family. As you can see, if you don't let the past entirely define you, you can distance yourself from failure and improve yourself and accomplish great things. The second strategy discussed in the article is take stock, learn and adapt. Look at the failure analytically, indeed, curiously, suspending feelings of anger, frustration, blame or regret. Why did you fail? What might have produced a better outcome? Was the failure completely beyond your control? After gathering the facts, step back and ask yourself, what did I learn from this? Think about how will you apply this newfound insight going forward. Thomas Edison reportedly failed 10,000 times while he was inventing the light bulb, which we use every day. He was quoted as saying, "I have found 10,000 ways something won't work. I am now discouraged because every wrong attempt discarded in another step forward." He says, stop dwelling on it. Obsessing over your failure will not change the outcome. In fact, it will only intensify the outcome, trapping you in an emotional doom loop that disables you from moving on. You cannot change the past, but you can shape your own future. The faster you take a positive step forward, the quicker you can leave the negative thoughts behind. Don Shula, winning the greatest coach in the NFL, holding the record for most career wins, including 2 Super Bowl victories in the only perfect season in NFL history. Shula had a 24-hour rules, a policy of looking forward instead of dwelling on the past. The coach allowed himself, his staff, and his players 24 hours to celebrate a victory or brood over a defeat. During those 24 hours, Shula encouraged them to feel their emotions over success or the failure as deeply as they could. The next day, it was time to put it behind them and focus the energy on preparing for their next challenge, their next game. His philosophy was that if you keep your failures and victories in perspective, you do better in the long run. Emotions are important for humans, but once you have embodied them, move on, look from a distance to your achievement or your failure, and think reasonably and analytically about the failure and eventually improve yourself. So it won't happen a second time, or if you want it to happen a second time, you can achieve that also with his technique and his philosophy of Shula. One of the biggest hosts on television ever, Oprah Winfrey, had also had a philosophy: release the need for approval of others. Often our fear of failure is rooted in our fear of being judged and losing others' respect and esteem. We easily get influenced and spooked by what people say about us. Remember, this is your life, not theirs. What one person considers to be true about you is not necessarily the truth about you. And if you give too much power to others' opinions, it could douche your passion and confidence, undermining your ability to ultimately succeed in what you want to succeed in. Let's try a new point of view. Our upbringing as people has given us an unhealthy attitude toward failure. One of the best things you can do is shift your perspective and belief system away from the negative. If I fail, it means I'm stupid, weak, incapable, and destined to fall short, and embrace a more positive association with this. If I fail, I am one step closer to succeeding. I am smarter, I am more savvy, because the knowledge I have gained through this experience has made me better. Indeed, one can hardly find an historic or current day success story that isn't also a story of great failure. And if you ask those who have distinguished themselves through their achievements, they will tell you that failure was a critical enabler of their success. It was their motivator, their teacher, a stepping stone along their path to greatness. The difference between them and the average person is that they didn't give up. Michael Jordan said it best: I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. On 26 occasions I've been entrusted to take the game-winning shot, and I've missed. I have failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeeded. I hope you took something from this, and I hope you accept that failure is actually a positive thing and it can further your career. Special thanks to Susan Tardinico for the article. You can listen to the Life Design Podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Please subscribe, leave some feedback in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube, or contact us on our Instagram, the Life Design Podcast, or our personal Instagrams, which are in the description down below. And as always, I hope to see you on the next episode.